In Packet Tracer 656, we will configure dynamic network address translation and verify the NAT implementation. The topology shows 3 end devices configured with private RFC 1918 addressing in the 172.16 network, which is unroutable on the internet. So to access server 1, these will need to be NATed. In part 1, we will begin the process to configure dynamic NAT by first configuring an ACL for the traffic that will be permitted. The ACL is going to tell NAT which addresses to translate. On R2, which is functioning as the edge router for our network, we will configure one statement, or ACE, and this will be a standard numbered ACL with the number 1 to permit any address belonging to the 172.16/16 network. Start with the access list command, followed by the number we have been given to use, which is 1. We will need a permit, allow any address belonging to the 172.16.0.0 network. Since it's a /16, the inverse of that for our wildcard mask would be 0.0.255.255 to match any host with an address beginning with 172.16. That will be the source address because this is a standard access list, which only filters on source address. And then next, in step 2, because this is dynamic NAT, we need to configure a pool of addresses to tell NAT which addresses to translate the 172.16 network to. We are told to configure R2 with a NAT pool that uses 2 addresses in the 209.165.200.228/30 address space. A /30 only provides 4 addresses. .228 would be the network address. .229 and .230 would be the only usable host addresses, and then .231 would be the broadcast address for that subnet. So we know that the 2 addresses our pool will contain will be the only 2 usable host addresses in that subnet, which are .229 and 230. To create our pool on R2, we start with the command ipnat. We want to define a pool of addresses. Following that, we must supply the name for our pool, which you can put anything you want here. For this purpose, I'm simply going to call mine nat-pool1. The next step is to provide the starting IP address in the pool, 209.165.200.229. The ending IP address is the second usable host address in that subnet, .230. We have our beginning and our ending address. The next step, we need to specify our network mask, the subnet mask, 255, 255, 255, 252. Press enter. The pool has now been created to tell NAT what to translate the addresses to. In your Word document at this point will be the only question that you need to answer. First, notice in the topology there are 3 network addresses that would be translated based on the ACL created, which would match anything beginning with 172.16. These 2 hosts are in the 172.16 network in addition to L1. What will happen if more than 2 devices attempt to access the internet? So if there are only 2 addresses in the pool, it will be first come, first served. The first 2 end devices that connect through and get assigned an address out of that pool will be successful, and any other devices must wait until an available address is allocated. In other words, until one of the other NAT translations times out. If there are 2 addresses in the pool, that means only 2 devices will get translated at a time. In step 3, we need to link that ACL1 with the NAT pool, connect them together by entering the command that associates the ACL with the NAT pool. Again, start with IP NAT inside a source that we need to specify. We can either put list or static. We would use static if this was static NAT. We are using dynamic NAT, so we will use our access list describing addresses that need to be translated. The list number is 1, and we are linking it with a pool. Use the pool name exactly as you created it to link the access list to the correct pool. So I named my pool nat-pool1, and so I will link that with the access list and then press enter. In step 4, we need to configure the NAT interfaces on R2 with the appropriate inside and outside NAT commands. That inside interface would be the one that faces the 172.16 network, which is the serial 001 interface. It faces the private address devices that must be translated to public addresses. So we have to put the command on that interface S001 IP NAT inside. The interface facing the internet is the outside interface relative to NAT because it's facing the internet and the return traffic that must be translated back to the original private addresses. That will be interface S000, and that will be IP NAT outside. At that point, my completion rate has gone to 100%. In part 2, we will verify that the NAT is working from the web browser of L1 or any of the N devices. Access the web page for server 1 by typing in server 1's address. Click Go. L1 has successfully connected to the web page for server 1. And to view the NAT translation on R2 and to leave config mode, show IP NAT translations. Here is the internal source address of the PC, which is inside local 172.16.11.1. And then the translated address from the NAT pool would be the inside global. That got assigned the .229 address out of the pool. The other outside local and outside global refer to the destination. Show IP NAT statistics. Here is our mapping, and here is the allocation. We've allocated 50% of our pool with 1 dynamic translation in progress. Now, if PC1 goes to its web browser, PC1 connects successfully. Show IP NAT statistics now shows that 100% of the NAT pool has been allocated. And under translations, we can see the 2 active translations going on. So what'll happen if PC2 tries to connect to server 1 now? It must be NATed before it can connect successfully. It's not going to be able to connect because the 2 addresses in the pool have already been allocated to someone else. So the request has timed out, and PC2 will just simply have to wait until one of the addresses in the pool becomes available. That concludes this packet tracer. Thank you.